Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Well, I hope that you're ready for a little more Bible study today. 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. That is our mantra here at Daily Dose Radio. That's my elevator speech. When somebody asks me what Daily Dose Radio is all about, I just tell them, well, it's 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. And today, we're not just studying the Psalms verse by verse, but we're studying the Psalms portion by portion. This is only 3 verses, and so we're looking at it in little bitty parts today. So today we're looking at verse 1b. So we did 1a yesterday, and we saw the first 2 of the 4 points in the humble man's confession. So the first 2 parts. Number 1 was, my heart is not exalted. Number 2 was, my eyes, as they're not lifted up to vanity or to something lofty. And then today we're going to do the parts 3 and 4, which is in the second half of verse 1. So I tell you what, let me just read the whole of verse 1 and then we'll go back and talk about it. And David writes there, Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor my eyes lofty, neither do I exercise myself in great matters, or in things too high for me. Now you'll notice that we have the pieces here, the 4 parts. Heart's not exalted, eyes are not lifted up. The third part then is I don't run after great things, or I don't exercise myself in great matters. Well, isn't that the opposite of pride? Pride says, I'm smart enough to do anything. But the reality is that we're smart enough to do the things that we can, but there are probably some things that are just over our head. We can't do those things. Partly because we don't have the training, we don't have the education maybe, or we don't have the talent to do them. I don't try to play on an NBA basketball team. I never have, because number 1, I'm too short to play on such a team. And number 2, I've never had the athletic ability to play basketball very well. I can play a little bit, but not very good. Nobody would pick me for their team. So I don't try to wedge myself into something that I can't do. There are a lot of other things I can't do too. I can't repair computers. I don't understand them. I love it when they work right, but I love the guys that can fix them because I sure can't. So, there are just certain things that I don't try to wedge myself into because, they're matters that are too great for me. I don't exercise myself in them. I don't force myself to, try to achieve them because it's just outside of my ability, my gifting, and frankly, my calling. One of the things that I think is difficult for pastors is they get so caught up in trying to learn and do other things that they forget that their first and highest calling is to preach the gospel. And that's where their gifts probably lie most heavily, that or administrating in the church. And so when you try to do other things, well, then you're running after or you're exercising yourselves in great matters. Then he goes on to say the 4th thing there, or in things too high for me. See, it takes a humble man to say, I can't do that, but I know what I can do. I know where my skills lie. It's not that I'm trying to force myself into those things, but I'm trying to avoid that because I know that there are things that are just out of my reach. And so it's okay that I can't. It's okay that I can just be the man that God has made me to be. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't try to achieve or I don't try to do well for myself and my family, but I know that I'm never going to be a brain surgeon. It's just too much for me. It's too high for me. But there are certain things that are within my grasp. And so the humble man says, we'll let somebody else take care of that, and I'll be the best I can possibly be with the gifts and the skills that the Lord has given me. Here we have the humble man's confession. in verse 1 of Psalm 131. I hope you'll join me next time, and we're going to look at Psalm 131, verse 2a, here on Daily Dose Radio.